Hi, before we get started, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and share. Thank you. Before you buy a certain house, always make sure you do research on it because there may be secrets there or something that happened that you're unaware of and you may pay a heavy price for it. Even when a realtor sells you a house that looks really nice for a cheap amount of price, that's also a red flag. And that's really something that I think everyone should know. This happened back in 2010, and it's something that me and my wife experienced. We were newlyweds and we were in our early 20s. I want to say that I was about 22 and she was 21, and we just purchased our first house. My wife was pregnant at the time as well, and she was about to give birth at any day. We kind of had to hurry because the apartment that we were staying at was getting ready to be closed down and demolished. And of course, me and my wife were on a very tight budget. And so we had to look for something that was cheap, and we were willing to take almost anything. My wife had a sister who was a realtor, and she was able to go to her. And that's when she introduced us to a house that was really cheap. I'm talking about really, really cheap. We thought that maybe it was going to be a little bit run down and I might have to do some renovation and fix up the house. But when her sister showed us the house, I was unprepared when I saw the house. I thought it was going to be run down, but when I looked at this house, it was massive. It looked like a mansion. The house looked like it was built this year. It looked so new. So I turned towards our realtor / my sister-in-law, which her name was Daisy, and I asked her, So, Daisy, is this the house that's running for about $100,000? Yeah, $100,000. It's a nice deal. I mean, if I was you guys, I would definitely go for it. I can even get the paperwork ready right now, and you guys don't even have to go inside to look at the house. I mean, if you want to, obviously, but it's a nice house. Well, Daisy, we're gonna look inside the house first, but I can already tell you right now, I'm starting to become convinced, but let's look inside the house and see how it looks, and then we'll make our final decision. Yeah, I agree with my wife. Let's look inside the house and we'll see if it's perfect, then we'll buy it. After that, we started to make our way in the driveway to the house. It looked even more bigger as we drove up to it. As we got out to look at the house and go inside, I couldn't help but to feel in the back of my mind that something was off with Daisy when it came to this house, but she tried to play it off. I tried not to focus on it because I wanted to look inside this house and see if we actually made a sweet deal. Once we went inside the house, my jaw dropped to the floor. It was so nice. Everything was so built together. It was nicely done. Everything looked expensive. And I couldn't even wrap my head around the fact that it was only $100,000. This could easily go for $1 million. But why was it so low? So Daisy, you're charging us just $100,000? That's crazy. You know, you can go for more for this. We can pay. I think a good $1 million would do. Nope, it's called the family discount. So I'm giving it to you guys for $100,000. What do you think? It looks nice, doesn't it? I told you. So, what do you say? Come on, make your big sister happy, Penny. Me and Penny looked at each other, and then we decided to take the house. So, when we told Daisy that, she was thrilled. And then we got the paperwork and we done everything for the next 3 days. And finally, we were able to get ready to move in. Once we moved in, it was lovely. Our furnitures and everything. The house was nice. One particular evening, as I was bringing some final stuff into the house, I heard my wife yell out in pain. I already knew she was ready to give birth. 3 weeks later, all three of us were at the house, the brand new house. My wife, Penny, me, and our new bundle of joy, Emily. Everything was going well. I was excited that we had our daughter. We were in a brand new house. that wasn't too expensive to buy. I paid it down. Everything was great until it wasn't. That's when things started to happen. I want to say after about 2 months we lived in that house, that's when I noticed strange things started happening. It started off small, sudden drafts in the household, and then we would hear noises like laughter. Me and my wife thought maybe it was the TV, or maybe it was neighbors, but we didn't see any neighbors around and we cut our TVs off. It was odd. But then it started to get more worse. We started to feel something in the house. When I would sleep, it feels like something or someone was climbing on top of me, but I didn't know what it was. Every time I opened my eyes, I wouldn't see anything. My wife would always scream and wake up because she would have a bad nightmare about something or someone harming our baby girl. But I remember something happening that made me really question about moving into this house. And it was something really scary. I don't even know what to say. Every time I talk about it, tears fall down from my eyes because that's how frightening it was. I was sleeping alongside my wife, and as we were sleeping, I happened to hear something through the baby monitor. It sounded like someone was talking. It wasn't my daughter. Obviously, she couldn't talk. She was only 2 months old. And the person I heard talking, it didn't sound right. It sounded dark and raspy. I realized that whoever this was, it was an intruder. I got up quickly and I ran towards my daughter's nursery room. When I opened it up, I almost yelled. Standing over my daughter's crib was some dark figure who had scaly skin all over its body. There were wings protruding out of its back, sharp, long fingernails, and I saw its tongue when it turned around. I knew for sure that that was not a human being. It was something unworldly. The creature turned away from my daughter and slowly walked towards me. It let out a growl, and then it just went to smokes and disappeared. This frightened me to the point I grabbed my daughter and I took her in the room with us. I woke my wife up and I told her, Penny, you need to wake up. I got something I need to tell you. What? What are you doing with Emily? What's going on? Penny asked. I explained to her. Look, Penny, the reason why I got our daughter is because you're not gonna believe me, but I saw someone standing over her bed. And before my wife could respond to me, she looked behind me and her eyes got wide and she screamed while pointing behind me. Holding my daughter, I slowly turned around and I saw a little girl. Her body was blue. She was blue all over. It was strange. As I kept on looking at the little girl, she suddenly started to talk, and what she said creeped me out. Please, sir, help me. Help me. It wants me. It wants me. It won't let me go. Me and Penny were frozen in fear, but at the same time, we were confused. We were wondering what wouldn't let her go. As I was about to respond, something grabbed the little girl and screamed. It was this monstrous scream. And then I saw that same creature that was over my daughter's bed. It screamed and me and my wife held our ears. I tried to hold my ears with one hand because I had the other hand holding Emily. She began to cry, which I couldn't blame her. What was happening was horrifying and too much for a baby to handle. Afterwards, the little girl and the creature disappeared. A few hours later, we were able to calm Emily down, and afterwards I talked with Penny to try to figure out what was happening here. Me and her both saw what was going on, and even though I don't like to admit this, but Penny made me realize something was definitely wrong with this house, and something supernatural was happening. And we were starting to wonder if Daisy knew all along, and that's why she was in a hurry to sell this house. Especially for how much she sold it for. $100,000 for a big house like this? There was no way, and we knew it was too good to be true. We didn't confront Daisy. We just tried to endure it. We called a couple of priests and tried to have the house blessed, but there was nothing they can do. Whatever was hunting the house was too strong. Not to mention that we couldn't move out of the house because we didn't have the funds right away to buy another house. We had to stay where we were at. We kept on going through supernatural and unexplainable things. My wife and I would have weird scars on our faces or on our bodies. One of us would become possessed, doing strange things, or one of us would go into a trance, not knowing what we were doing, like our bodies were completely being controlled by an unseen force. But there were two events that was really horrifying. And the last one, which I will tell you in a second after I say the first one, but the last one was something that was so tragic. It was really horrifying, and it teared our family apart. The first thing that happened was, one night, me and my wife were asleep. I think it was around 4 o'clock a.m. As we were sleeping, I don't know, from what my wife told me, and this is going to be for her point of view, I just got up and I started to yell at my wife. I just yelled at her. I got on top of her and I started to just yell. I wasn't saying anything, I was just yelling. My wife woke up, and then I remember her telling me that I grabbed her by the neck and I was strangling her. This went on for about 3 minutes. I don't know how she was able to survive, but eventually she had to grab something heavy, and it was a lamp, and she knocked me out. When I came to, I was back to myself. I didn't remember what happened, but my wife Penny told me what happened, and when she told me what I'd done to her, I was horrified, because in my right mind, I would never in a million years lay my hands on Penny. That's not me. That's not who I am as a person, and it terrified me. I cried and I begged for her forgiveness, but she understood. And I really am sorry for what I'd done to her. And the next thing that happened is something that landed my wife in jail. And it's something that I will never overcome. And even though I don't really blame my wife for this, but it is horrifying and it brings back a lot of dreadful memories by looking at her. We're not together anymore. We divorced, and she understood. This particular night, and this will be the last night we were in this house. I remember I was working late. I was trying to make some extra money because the holiday season was coming up. I was working in a factory, and as I was working, my boss told me that I had an urgent phone call from my wife. I was confused and I thought something was going on. I figured in the back of my mind it had something to do with the house. So I ran and I grabbed the phone. I answered it. Penny, is everything all right with you or with Emily? What's going on? And in the most calm voice, David, come back to the house, please. There's something you have to see. Immediately, I ran to my car and I drove back to the house. I unlocked the door and I came in the living room. And what I saw in the living room, words don't even describe the feeling that I felt. There was blood everywhere in the living room. Then I saw Penny holding a knife. And then what I saw next was really torturing and really hard for me to wrap my head around. I saw dismembered body parts, and they were small little limbs. I got sick to my stomach and I just threw up right in front of Penny because I knew who those limbs belonged to. It was our daughter Emily. I screamed and I yelled, "What the hell? Penny, what did you do? What did you do to our daughter? Why did you do this?" I yelled at Penny, but Penny just laughed. And then she said in the most chilling voice, "He wanted me to do it. He told me that I should be the only being to have his attention. And so I done it. I just gotta get rid of you. You're the last obstacle. And then I'll be free to give him all my attention. Before I can even reply to Penny, I saw that demonic dark creature above her, and it growled and hissed at me, and then it roared, and I remember being lifted up in the air, and I remember slamming into a wall, hitting my head. I remember I blacked out, and then when I came to, I was in an ambulance. I was going in and out of consciousness. I remember seeing the EMTs all around me, asking me questions, but everything was a blur. I didn't know what happened afterwards. I blacked out. I woke up a couple of days later, and I was in a hospital, of course. I remember a cop, I can't remember his name, was sitting there in the chair next to me. Then I realized it was my brother, Joshua. He was a detective. He looked at me. He looked like he had so much pain and sorrow in his eyes. He lit up a little bit when he saw that I woken up, and then he asked me, "Hey, David, you're awake. That's good. Look, do you remember anything that happened to you? Do you remember anything that happened before you blacked out?" "I think I do. I remember my wife. She done something. Maybe it was a bad dream." Joshua put his head down with tears in his eyes, shaking his head, and he said something that I already knew was true. "David, your wife is in jail. She's wanted for murder. She killed Emily. A neighbor of yours saw her through the window, and what she done to the child, she dismembered the little girl. When they were arresting her, she kept saying that someone made her do it. It was a demonic creature or something, I don't know. But I'm sorry to give it to you like this, little bro, but I'm sorry. Your daughter is gone and your wife has been arrested for her murder." I remembered I cried hard, even though I knew that's what happened, but I just wanted to believe that it was all just a bad dream. But it was real. It was real as it was going to get, and I couldn't handle it. It was horrifying. I just hate that this had to happen. Several weeks later, I was out of the hospital, and I did not want to step foot back in that house again. I had to go to my wife's trial and testify on her behalf. I got a lot of backlash because people thought I should have put her away in jail, and people assumed that I had something to do with Penny killing our daughter. But much as I want to blame Penny for this, I couldn't really. I know it's strange and a lot of you are not going to believe me. It really just boils down to that house. There was something in that house that possessed my wife to do this to our precious daughter. And the only person I blamed for this was Daisy. After they sentenced Penny to life in prison, I went and took a trip to Daisy's office in her real estate company, and I barged in there, angry. And when I got into her office, she looked confused but sad at the same time, and I slammed my hands down on her desk, and I confronted her. "What the hell, Daisy? You knew all along something was wrong with that house. You're gonna tell me the history of that house right now, because everything that happened with my wife and my daughter is your fault. Start talking and tell us what happened, and why did you charge us only $100,000 for that house? You knew something about that house." I'm so sorry. I explained everything. There was a woman. Her name was Gladys, and she had a husband that was very abusive, and they had a daughter. Her name was Annie, and the husband was so abusive to Gladys to the point she just didn't want to live anymore. And so she summoned a demon. I don't know how she done it, but she summoned a demon, and she drew this pentagram. We covered it up, we got rid of it, but I guess it didn't do anything. And she summoned a demon, and allegedly she sacrificed her soul for the demon to kill her husband. She didn't even want to be a mother. She wanted her daughter dead as well. She wanted freedom. She hated her lifestyle. And so the demon possessed her, and she killed her husband, and she dismembered her daughter. body. Her daughter was only 9 years old. And then afterwards, she was arrested for it, but from what I heard, she died in police custody. The reason why all that happened was because their souls, they died in that household. And that's what happened. And apparently there's a demon that roams in that house. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to sell the house. And no one would buy it if they found out that 2 people, including the child, died in it. I'm so sorry. I interrupted Daisy with anger and resentment in my voice. You knew all along, and you didn't tell us. You are the reason why your sister is serving life in prison and why our daughter is dead. And you didn't even think to tell us that? You only care about money and about making a profit. You didn't care about our well-being. You're the reason my daughter is dead and my wife is in prison. I hope you suffer. I'm gonna make it my mission to sue your ass until you have nothing left, and I'll make sure no one ever takes you in as their realtor ever again. Afterwards, I slammed her office door and I walked out. A couple months later, me and Penny filed for divorce, and afterwards I tried to pick up the pieces of my life and try to relive a future without my daughter. I hate Daisy, and I also hate Penny, but when it comes to Penny, I can't blame her too much, but it's really all boils down to Daisy. Unfortunately, I couldn't sue Daisy, but karma eventually got her. She eventually died after someone robbed her office and she got shot and killed. Honestly, I don't feel nothing for her. She got what she deserved. She was greedy and only thought about making money. She didn't care about her sister or her child. As for me, 15 years had passed and I haven't gotten over about what happened to my precious daughter. She would have most likely been going to high school had she not been killed. I haven't got back into dating. I haven't had no interest in starting a family or getting into another relationship. I just work, come home, and drink my pain away. I can only just do that. There's nothing else I can do. I don't really have the motivation to really keep living. It's just incredible how I'm able to stay alive this long. As for Penny, she's still in prison. I haven't really talked to her in the last 10 years. I really can't face her. I just hope she's doing well. And I'll find a way to keep pushing.